Dear viewers, you welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babler Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, the special status for the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon is on the table of lawmakers at the National Assembly in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. It is contained in a bill on the special status and the ongoing decentralization process in Cameroon. The bill has been tabled in Parliament in the ongoing extraordinary session, which opened today at the Hemicycle in Yaoundé. Also in this newscast, we'll bring to you the latest incidents in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, the gun battles, and of course, one person died in one of the incidents in the northwest region of Cameroon. Stay with us. We begin this newscast in the crisis-hit northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where a nursing mother has been shot dead in a crossfire between separatist fighters and the military in the Widikum-Momo division, northwest region. And this happened Thursday after the restoration forces ambushed and killed 3 gendarme officers on Wednesday, injuring several others with immediate militarization of the locality. Innocent as has more.
Widikum locals in Momo division of the northwest region in agony on a hot Thursday. They mourn a nursing mother killed by a stray bullet at Long Street when military men in armored vehicles opened fire on Amazonian fighters who stopped a minibus and were controlling.
We were in this vehicle. Amber boys stopped us and began controlling. As we stepped out, armored cars approached the checkpoint and opened fire on the armed men. Amber boys ordered all of us to lay down while they escaped in the bush.
They just start shooting you and they run, enter inside bush. As you enter inside bush, you hold picking.
She tried escaping with her baby. Unfortunately, she was killed by a stray bullet.
Others they be run, come on, all man they go belle, they not die. So stray bullet get for picky because they run.
Her baby will now be motherless and will only see the mother's face on a picture when an adult. No other passenger was neither killed nor injured, though the Amber boys who dashed into the bushes exchanged fire with the military.
After the run, she shoot so the boys they record their own oversight down.
According to a witness, passenger of the bus, the military men sympathized and once more scolded the civilians from not running in such a situation, but to either stay in the vehicle or lay down.
They don't talk, they start sorry, so they don't talk whenever passengers they meet up with the armored car. Men man not run, go inside bush, remain inside motor or you sleep or car road. They need the 1 year.
The population, despite this, remained inconsolable. Widikum, since Wednesday, December 11th, has witnessed militarization after separatist fighters ambushed gendarmes on a patrol, killing 3 and making away with their guns. Several others sustained injuries and were quickly rushed to a health facility. Some government officials and the Cameroonian Peace Crusaders had said the security situation in the northwest and southwest regions is getting better.
And the special status for the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon following a recommendation of the major national dialogue and as enshrined in the 1996 Constitution of the Republic of Cameroon is now on the table of lawmakers at the National Assembly in Yaoundé. A bill on decentralization and the special status for the northwest and southwest regions of the country has been tabled in Parliament in the ongoing extraordinary session of the National Assembly convened by the House Speaker Kavayeke Jibril, and of course the Senate is also holding on the request of the President of the Republic. And according to the bill on the special status for the northwest and southwest regions of the country, section 331, the regional assemblies, or better still before that, in section 329, we have the northwest and the southwest region shall be administered freely by elected organs under the conditions laid down in this law. And the organs of the northwest and southwest regions shall be the regional assembly, the regional executive council, and of course regional assembly that will have the regional assembly in itself, and of course other organs that will be put in place in the northwest region of the country within the context of the special status. This bill is being examined by parliamentarians who are meeting in the extraordinary session requested by the President of the Republic, Paul Biya. We shall be analyzing this in the second part of this newscast. Time for us to talk about the atmosphere in the town of Boya, southwest region of the country, ahead of the burial of Mayor Ekema Patrick Esunge, former mayor of the Boya municipality. His burial will be taking place tomorrow. Derek Jato takes a look at the atmosphere at his residence in Boya and the town.
We are here at the residence of Mayor Ekema Patrick Esunge, the mayor of the Buya Council, and the preparation is total here from observers. We have seen that this particular street has witnessed grading, an indication that everything is almost set. Remember that Mayor Ekema Patrick Esunge final journey home start tomorrow, Saturday, the 14th day of December 2019. And a while ago we saw Ghanaian and Mayor Ekema Patrick Esunge was a member of that court, an indication that they came for their traditional right. We have been made to understand that by 5 p.m. the corpse of Mayor Ekema Patrick Esunge will be arriving here. So this is the atmosphere here, Ekema Patrick Esunge. Preparations are almost total. At the level of the grandstand here, it has already been decorated to that ceremony, and we have indication that the Cameroon Minister of Territorial Administration, in the presence of Minister Paul Tangaji.
Derek Jato reporting on the atmosphere in Boya ahead of the burial of Mayor Ekema Patrick Esunge, one of the crusaders of the anti-Ghost Town crusaders, the man who stood against Operation Ghost Town in his municipality, the man who also stood against the holding of the Anglophone General Conference, the AGC of Christian Cardinal Toumi and other religious and civil society leaders in his municipality. He will be remembered for having said that even the President of the Republic, even if the President of the Republic had authorized the AGC, it would not hold in his municipality. He fought for his municipality to remain alive by shutting down stores and compelling people to open their shops even on Ghost Town days. Mayor Ekema Patrick Esunge will be laid to rest tomorrow. And in the midst of the Anglophone crisis, the University of Boya continues struggling to survive despite the impact of the Anglophone crisis. And it recently, the officials of that institution recently met to strategize and discuss on how to enhance the functioning of the University of Boya, and of course the teaching and learning, the quality of training delivered in that institution. Derek Jato has more.
In the boardroom of the central administrative building of the University of Boya are members of council sitting for the 36th meeting of council, and top on the agenda is the presentation examination and adoption of the 2020 budget of the said institution. And after deliberations, its chair, Professor Akpo Edward Orben, Pro-Chancellor of the University of Buea, issued a press release announcing the adopted budget for 2020.
So I'm pleased to announce that the 2020 budget of the University of Buea was approved in income and expenditure at 11.2 billion francs.
The budget will solve infrastructure challenges and also equip realized ones. Professor Akpo Edward Orben further made a plea to ex-students of the University of Buea to remember the university that fashioned them.
And I will take this opportunity to call on the alumni of the University of Buea to help their institution by making financial donations to equip the new structures that are coming up.
The council also endorsed the advancement and promotion of some members of the academic staff. And Professor Horace Manga, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Buea, and his collaborators were congratulated on the excellent performance of the university in 2019.
In the meantime, some educationists think that the training that is delivered in the higher institutions and universities in the Republic of Cameroon is out of, it does not meet the standards of the 21st century, and so the training, according to the educationists, is further making students or graduates to be unable to acquire jobs, to be unable to make impact in the society. And the educationist Reverend Father Nkeze George, who is the Pro-Chancellor and of course President of the Catholic University of Central Africa, and the Bishop of Buea, were speaking today during the graduation ceremony of the Catholic University Institute here in Douala, and they are indicating that there is need of for a change of paradigm as far as training of the students in higher institutions of learning is concerned. Take a listen to Reverend Father George Nkeze, Pro-Chancellor and President of the CUIB, and Bishop Emmanuel Bushu of the Buea Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church.
Revolution. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. We are in the AI age, artificial intelligence, and we cannot be doing the same things over and over and getting the same results. We must stop what I call cultural entropy, doing things that doesn't make any impact on the community. Our universities are running courses that have no impact in this generation. So CUIB is the leading group that wants to be the pace setter in training our Cameroonians so that they can cope with the 4.0 generation. This is what is critical now. And I think I could see that many Cameroonians are still ignorant of what is going on in the world. They are still in the second and first century already revolution. And we are already on the 4.0 revolution. So my appeal is that let the people of Douala realize that CUIB has come to their doorsteps, and let them make the best of CUIB so that we can change the educational model of Cameroon to be a growth mindset educational model.
The university, as we are celebrating now, is a setup, is a system where people are built up continuously. We build up the skills of those who are admitted, their capacities, so that they are able to realize what God made them to be. So the university therefore gives enough time and attention to make sure that the students, when they come out, we say we are not looking for work. We are work makers ourselves. We are creators. We all have the talent, and if they are not channeled as they do at the university, they lie fallow, and we are sometimes very confused and think we are incapable.
And the United Nations Refugee Agency is stepping up its efforts to further assist and take care of persons displaced by crisis and other happenings in their country. I'm talking about refugees, I'm talking about internally displaced persons and asylum seekers. These are persons that the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is seeking to protect and of course to help them to be able to integrate themselves in the societies in which they find themselves. And of course the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees Douala Agency is celebrating 10 years on the ground working with urban refugees, and today the organized a meeting here in Douala to further sensitize the public on the assignments of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees with regards to the refugees, asylum seekers, IDPs and other groups of persons who fall under the competence of this United Nations organ. And we are receiving the resident representative of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Cameroon, Kwasi Laza Etienne. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
What's the situation as far as refugees are concerned in Cameroon and beyond?
Thank you, first of all, for the invitation extended to me. And like you have said, I'm right now in Douala just for the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the presence of this office in that town. It's a milestone. Only in Douala, we have some 9,000 plus refugees and some 5,000 asylum seekers. You have to make the difference because first when they come, before their files are worked out and the status of refugees granted to them, they are called asylum seekers. But of course, they also fall under the protection of UNHCR. So in Douala, we have from 14,300 people of concern to UNHCR, meaning refugees and asylum seekers.
Asylum seekers.
I'm not talking of IDPs because you mentioned that earlier. Because of the situation which is prevailing in the southwest and northwest, we have some IDPs who are also in this littoral region. But for that, I will leave the responsibility to my fellows from OCHA, because that's the agency which is actually entrusted with the responsibility in terms of talking of statistics and so forth. Okay. What I would say, yes, in the eastern part of the country, we have some 270,000 South African refugees. They are rural refugees. There also, we have a lot to do. We have 4 offices in that region looking after refugees. In the far north, you have 110,000 Nigerian refugees.
Coming from the Central African Republic, Nigeria.
Yes, exactly. Far north coming from Nigeria. Exactly.
The conflicts in the Central African Republic and the Boko Haram war in Nigeria.
Exactly, you said it. That's exactly the case. So UNHCR actually is providing assistance to them. For the refugees, that's the core mandate of UNHCR. When it comes to IDPs, it's a coordinated response that given to IDPs. UNHCR is also in charge of shelter and camp management and protection. That's the 3 sectors in which UNHCR assume responsibility.
Globally speaking, what is the situation as far as their living conditions are concerned, as far as the challenges they are facing are concerned? Globally speaking, what are the challenges, what are some of the major difficulties that these IDPs, these refugees and asylum seekers are facing on the Cameroonian soil?
The situation differs from whether you are in a rural zone or in urban areas. As I mentioned to you, the figure in absolute are smaller when it comes to urban refugees, but the assistance which is provided to them is outrageously costly as compared to those who are in rural places. Because, like you have said, those who are in town, they need housing. They need also to be taken care of in terms of health, education, you name it. So that's very costly. So UNHCR actually is helping refugees to live in the normal condition like anyone else. What I want to say, and also allow me to really to thank you for giving the opportunity. We don't have to wait until the 20th of June, the day that we celebrate the World Refugee Day, for people to know that refugees are living within the community. We are with them on a daily basis. The predicament is very, 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 very high. Like I said, because Cameroonian also of even of all walk of life, I would say, they are suffering, but at least this social organization helps them at least to cope with the difficulties, while refugees are uprooted. We don't have families here. So the only lean on UNHCR or anything that they have depend on UNHCR. But what we're trying to do, because also it's good to know that year after year the funding is dwindling. So we think that's really important, maybe to change the strategy, to go towards capacitating them to be self-reliant. So we do it through livelihoods. Today, refugees are organized in what you call in French GIC. For them,
common initiative groups.
Exactly, for them really to go to the bank, to have access to the bank for a loan, and be able to be creative, to be innovative, and having some activities which in the long run will help them actually to take care of themselves, because we know that UNHCR, for those who are familiar with UNHCR work, they know that there is a time that the organization or the presence, the operation grows. But when the situation improves a bit, it shrinks like an accordion. So when the time comes that UNHCR, if not pulling out totally of the country, but will maybe close some offices, those who are there, they should be able at least to take care of themselves.
All right. Now, talking about the IDPs, you said you're not yet focusing on the IDPs, but the living conditions too, and are not very good. Many of them are living in very difficult conditions in different parts of Cameroon. Why is it that you're not yet focusing on the IDPs in Cameroon?
No, I don't think that you got me right. What I'm trying to say, in terms, because it's quite a bit polemic, I don't want really to be mentioning figures and so forth. But okay. As I was clear saying that UNHCR is interested with responsibility in terms of protection, in terms of shelter, okay, in terms of camp management, site management. I'm just coming from Buea. Okay. There, we know that we have IDPs. What we're trying to do are so many activities that we are doing. For the SGBV, the protection monitoring, followed by a response that we give for SGBV cases, for also documentation of those who have lost papers because
the houses were burnt down,
or on the run they happen to lose their papers. We have to help them maybe through some lawyers actually for the case to be studied and in fine be given the documentation, because someone living in the country without any document, it becomes actually very fragile.
Globally speaking, what's the degree of the need of the people, the IDPs? Was their situation not like, is it alarming as some people put it?
The situation is serious, I will say, but here also I want to really to recognize, to acknowledge, I will say, the sheer kindness of the population, which has really, extended help, support to brothers and sisters who have been affected. But that's not enough, because the people themselves are living very, precarious conditions. So that's where also the humanitarian agencies, by and large, they come also to supplement this help. I will say that yes, there are some difficulties, I say, in terms of education. Yesterday I was in one school in Limbe. I've seen that they are doing very well. I was with the principal. 8 percent of the students out of 2,000 plus are IDPs. But when they first arrived, they were helped by, the principal and the other teachers with free, I would say, textbook and so on and so forth. That's something that needs also to be acknowledged and also continue maybe to show some generosity, because UNICEF or agencies alone cannot actually cater for all the needs.
Thanks very much. Kwasi Lazar Etienne, you are the representative of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Cameroon. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you.
On to something else now. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about an accident that occurred on National Highway number 5 earlier today, and circulation along the National Road number 5 from Bekoko to Mbanga in the Mongo division was paralyzed as a result of an accident that occurred today. And the accident involved a tanker that was transporting fuel and a lorry that was carrying containers. Both vehicles had a head-on collision which resulted in the blocking of the road for several hours. It took the intervention of the elements from the Gendarmerie Legion in the Banga, from elements of the National Gendarmerie in Banga to restore the circulation. No life was lost in that incident. And now we are going to talk about health. And of course, we are going into schools across the Republic of Cameroon. Government is stepping up efforts to reduce problems linked to the poor behavior, the poor sexual behavior of students in the school. Some teachers are here in Douala, and they are being trained on how to help the students to have proper sexual behaviors. Hemini Luga reports.
In Cameroon, out of 10 children within the adolescence age group and even below, 9 are totally ignorant of sex-related issues, notably pertaining to sex-inclined diseases, amongst which are identified HIV and AIDS, as well as on the reproductive system.
The theme of our seminar is about capacity building of teachers, of basic education. We fight against HIV, AIDS, fight against the prevention of HIV, AIDS, and IST.
Conscious of this, and in a bid to prevent the spread of sexually transmitted diseases amongst youths, a capacity enforcement workshop has opened its doors to teachers within the Ministry of Basic Education in the Littoral region to have them empowered and thus inculcate some preventive techniques to school children.
So, the little we have learned how to go back home and tell our children to take care of their sex education, the sex private parts of their children. They themselves will be able to make them to know how to manage, how to take care of their sex organs, so that when they are growing old, they will not be able to have diverse illnesses.
Given that children are fragile when young and growing, notably with young girls, the empowerment capacity building targets curbing all the setbacks. The initiative falls within the 3 months, looking forward to ensure the protection of children.
Some officers of the National Police Corps have been raised to higher ranks here in the littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon. They received new epaulets today in Bonanjo, and the ceremony was presided at by Littoral Governor Samuel Jedone Vahadiboa. The officers who have been raised to higher ranks include 11 senior assistant superintendents of police, 18 second grade assistant superintendents of police, 27 senior police inspectors, 410 grade police inspectors, second grade police inspectors, and 236 senior police constables, and 22 or 2 second grade police constables who have been raised to higher ranks. They received new epaulets today in the Bonanjo Douala. Talking Point is up next. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us in Talking Points. We're receiving a senior legal mind, Barrister ASHU Emmanuel Agbo is a member of the Cameroon Bar Association, president or national president of Reform Party. Barrister ASHU Emmanuel Agbo, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Jonathan. Good evening, televiewers.
There have been much talk about the special status since the major national dialogue recommended that this, which is enshrined in the constitution of the country, should be applied to the northwest and southwest regions of the country. And after that, there have been people talking, saying that what is the form of the national state, the special status, what is it all about, when will it be implemented, and so on. And now it is on the table of parliamentarians in Yaoundé. Is it good news?
Well, from just the wordings of it, it looks like good news, but when you look at the draft bill, you are tempted to ask yourself the question, but what is so special about this thing? First of all, you see, the so-called special status is part of the decentralization code. So it's within the decentralization code that we have a section that is reserved for the special status of northwest and southwest regions. And in very simple terms, what do they mean by special status? They mean the Anglophone regions are going to have, the two Anglophone regions are going to have something that looks like a regional parliament. Looks like a regional parliament. The Francophone sections don't have that. They have a council. So we have something that looks like a regional parliament.
And a regional executive.
With two houses. With two houses. The House of Chiefs and the House of Divisional Representatives. Now, the problem is that when you look at the functions that have been given to these houses, election into the houses, they say it is the councillors who are going to be elected into the houses by list system. We ask ourselves, why list system? Why councillors in the first place? Why list system? And then, what type of, what is the legal basis? What is the legal nature of the things that are going to come out of this regional parliament in quote? We see that we are told in the bill that the regional parliament can be maybe consulted in matters of education.
That's conditional. They maybe
matters of education, and then the House of Chiefs looks like a Senate, which can only give opinions. It cannot take any decision. And what is funny about it is that the regional House of Commons is going to be presided over by the regional chief executive, the regional executive officer. So you see, it's going to be a very funny type of government where you have the head of government is also head of the House of, is also head of the legislature. You see, I don't understand. I don't know whether you really get the impact. You have a legislative house which is being presided over by, let's say, the prime minister. How can you be head of government and head of the parliament? So that is what they are putting. And then the House of Lords is going to preside over by the vice executive of the region. Does that mean that the chiefs?
Whereas the parliament is supposed to check the
that is the fun about it.
The work of
the chiefs. The chiefs are not good enough to have to man their own house. The regional representatives cannot elect their own person to be their own regional speaker. It has to be presided over by the regional executive. It's total nonsense. I mean, the question that came to my mind when I looked at this thing, I said, "How? Where has this ever functioned? Where have they seen this type of thing function? I mean, nowhere. You carry something from limbo and bring here, and you want to come and use the people as guinea pigs. But you cannot be creating legal institutions and behaving as if you are training people for Njangi House. If it is a parliament, first of all, we have to know the nature of things that are going to come after. Are they laws? Can that parliament enact laws? But you see, when you read the powers that are going to be given to that regional grouping, you see that they are talking of they may participate in the taking of decisions concerning education, which means the decisions on education will still be taken by Yaoundé, not them. They can discuss, but when Yaoundé wants to take a decision on education, they may participate. I know what it is to participate. They 2 cubes of sugar inside a bucket of water. They can take 2 of you and put there in the midst of 50 people. You have participated. Whatever they decide is applicable to you. So the question is, how can you want to solve a problem by putting in place things that cannot solve the problem? The Yaoundé regime has been used to direct rule. I mean, they have been used to direct rule from the French. The Barr regime was used to indirect rule. So
the British.
When we talk of specificities of the Anglophone population, you are talking, when you talk of chiefs, our chiefs are not like the Francophone chiefs. They are used to indirect rule, which gave them the powers to be very powerful and to have so many things to do in society. But you see, the type of thing we saw the minister of the Amazon do with the chief in Yaoundé is rare to have in our place, because our chiefs are the real chiefs. They are not appointed chiefs by Amazon. Amazon is just just trying to put them under their boots by appointing them. But these are chiefs who come from the people. You see, so you cannot take that type of chief and tell him to go and sit in a house of chiefs where he has no powers, where he's going to be directed by the chief executive. What type of nonsense is that? Either you are giving the powers and allowing the people to govern, to make the laws that are going to govern them.
But it's that the article 329 of that bill says that the northwest and southwest regions will freely administer themselves. But from what you're saying now, it appears those institutions will not.
That is the general statement. Now, when you go to the competencies of the House of Lords and the House of the divisional representatives, you will see what is written inside. The only thing I find new there is this regional supervisor, who is appointed by the president. You see, I mean, I don't understand why all these appointments. The people will be freely administered. Then you bring somebody appointed by the president to come and be regional supervisor that you are calling special regional conciliator. What is that? It's a regional supervisor. He is appointed by the president. In the case of this regional supervisor, they don't tell you that he must be a local from that. He must originate from that region, like the case of the regional executive. Because for the case of the regional executive, they tell you that the man must be from that region. But for this special conciliator, nothing is said about it. So they can take somebody from anywhere and send there. And that will simply mean that you are bringing in place somebody who is not consonant with the customs and traditions of people. And what type of help do you want him to give to people? Because this is a man who is supposed to see to it that, who will receive complaints about the functioning of.
He is a liaison between the region and Yaoundé.
No, he is not. He is supposed to see to it that the regional institutions function well. He will receive complaints and try to solve them as to the behavior of the regional services. That's his work. He is not a liaison officer. You see, but the way they are putting it looks very funny, because this is somebody who would have been chosen from among the people in the region to do that job. But you bring somebody from Yaoundé, appointed by Yaoundé, to come and sit there as a conciliator who has very, very funny powers. I mean, I thought that it was something like a special counsel, because when you start talking of conciliator, you give the impression that this is a legal mind who is going to form some sort of a court. So I don't know, where have they seen this thing work? Anyway, from what I am seeing, when you read you read the transitory part of this thing, they tell you that the services of the government services that used to belong to the governor will be sent to the region. Those for the
regional council,
and those for the SGU and all those things will be sent to the mayor. Well, if that is the case, then we are in for surprised. The whole country is not Anglophone region. If for us, what concerns the special status is only three things. Just two things. That divisional, legislature, which is split into divisional representatives and House of Chiefs, and then the special conciliator. That's all. There's nothing else there. So I don't know.
It is very clear from that bill that the government delegates will disappear, and there will be somebody who will be elected.
That is not true. There's a special provision where they have maintained government delegates. They have maintained it. It's there.
No, it says that there will be some sort of,
when you say there is urban community, what is that?
A mayor who will be elected.
This is the same thing
by the people. It's not appointed by Yaoundé.
It's the same thing. I mean, why do you put a super mayor? Why? You know what it means when they say you'll be elected by they will send instructions and say, this is the man. We know how they do it. What is the function of a super mayor? What is his function? The man has, if the people have won their vote, their election, give it to them. Why do you put people on top to be governing others? All of them were elected. Why do you want to put another one on top? No, it's nonsense.
All right, Barrister, what about the governor and the SGO, the senior divisional officer, and the DOs? What about these people in the special status? There is no indication that they are going to disappear.
I am saying that
to be elected.
I'm saying that you have to read that special status in the backdrop of the general decentralization code. And it is in the decentralization code, I think Article 497 something, that they tell you that all those services of government will be sent to the regional council, and then the ones of the division and subdivision will be sent to the mayors. So if that happens for all the regions of Cameroon, it also happened to Southwest and Northwest. But the addition that we shall experience in South and Northwest is that we shall have a parliament, a small, some seeming parliament that will be divided into two chambers. House of Chiefs and the House of Divisional Representatives.
Does that mean the mayors, the governors, and the SGOs and the DOs will no longer be there?
That is what Reform Party has always been clamoring for. If you remember very well, we've all been saying that the Constitution has no place for all those people. They should give those powers to the councils and the regions, which are recognized in the Constitution. That has been our position. So I think it's a welcome move if they are going to follow it. If they are going to follow it, because the regional representatives are, the regional councils are going to be elected, not appointed. The President of the Republic will appoint the Secretary General, but the regional man is elected, which is good.
All right.
So it's like we are going to have elected governors everywhere, including Northwest and Southwest. So the only change we are going to have is that we have a house divided into two chambers, House of Chiefs that has no powers,
and the House of
Divisional Representatives that may be consulted, that may participate, and they don't even tell you the nature of legislation they can pass. Can they make laws? Can they make bills? I don't know. There's nothing. They don't tell you anything about it.
Barrister Emmanuel ASHU Agbo, President of Reform Political Party, member of the Cameroon Bar Association. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us.